Hello, and a warm welcome to Reddit Echo.
Childhood is supposed to be a time of safety. A time when your world is small, bounded by your neighborhood streets, your school, and the four walls of your home. For me, a big part of that safety was my dog, Daisy. She was a little white terrier mix, a bundle of endless curiosity and boundless love. But that sense of safety can be shattered in an instant. This is the story of the day I learned that danger doesn't always look like a monster from a movie. Sometimes it looks like an ordinary man in an ordinary house, and it almost took everything from me. It was the summer I turned 13. I remember the feeling of freedom, the days stretching out endlessly before me. Our backyard was Daisy's kingdom, but it had a flaw, a rickety old gate that never quite latched properly. Family members would come and go, often distracted, and sometimes that gate would be left swinging open. It had happened before. Daisy, driven by her nose and a sense of adventure, would sneak out. Those times were never a real crisis. Our neighborhood was a typical, quiet suburb. I'd usually find her within a block or two, her tail wagging furiously as she investigated the fascinating smells of the alleyways behind the houses, where everyone put out their trash. The moment she'd see me, her head would pop up. She'd let out a happy little yip, and she'd come sprinting back to me, all forgiven. We'd walk home, my hand on her collar, a minor adventure concluded. But this time was different. I came home from a friend's house and was met with a quiet emptiness. "Where's Daisy?" I asked my mom. Her face fell. The gate had been left open again. No one had noticed she was gone. A familiar routine began. I grabbed her leash and a handful of treats, calling her name as I walked our usual route. "Daisy! Come on, girl! Here, Daisy!" My voice echoed down the empty alleys. I checked under porches, behind bushes, anywhere a curious dog might hide. Nothing. 30 minutes passed, then 45. The sun was beginning to dip lower in the sky, casting long, distorted shadows. The playful worry I usually felt began to curdle into a cold, hard knot of anxiety in my stomach. This wasn't like her. She never strayed this far. She never stayed away this long. Tears started to prick at the corners of my eyes. I was about to give up, to turn back and hope against hope that she'd find her own way home, when I decided to push just a little further. I crossed a main road I was never allowed to cross as a kid, venturing into a part of the neighborhood I didn't know. It was an area of tightly packed townhomes and rental properties, the kind of place that felt transient, less familiar. The air felt different here, quieter. It was there, 6 blocks from my house, feeling utterly lost and defeated, that I saw it. A slight movement behind a weathered wooden slat fence, and then I heard it, a faint, high-pitched yip. A sound I knew as well as my own name. My heart leaped into my throat. I ran to the fence, peering through the gaps between the slats, and there she was, my Daisy. But she wasn't the happy, carefree dog I knew. She was muddy, her white fur caked with dirt and wet, as if she'd been through a puddle. And she was chained. A thick, heavy chain was looped around her neck and tethered to a metal post sunk into the ground. She was straining against it, barking frantically, her eyes fixed on me, pleading. A wave of relief washed over me, followed immediately by a surge of confusion. I thought, okay, someone found her. They took her in to keep her safe. They must have just put her out back for a minute. It was a naive thought, but it was the only one my 13-year-old brain could conjure to explain the chain. I could clearly see her collar, with its bright blue tags glinting in the fading light. I rushed to the front door of the townhouse, my hands trembling. I took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. I could hear the muffled sounds of a television and people talking inside. No one came. The knot in my stomach tightened. I rang it again, longer this time. After what felt like an eternity, the door creaked open just a crack. An older man, with a stern, unwelcoming face, peered out at me. He said nothing, just stared. "Hi," I stammered, my voice shaking. "My name is your name, and I'm here about my dog. I'm so happy you found her. Thank you for getting her off the streets." He looked at me with a blank, almost suspicious expression. "What dog?" he said flatly. The words hit me like a physical blow. "What? My dog? The little white dog you have in your backyard?" I could hear the panic creeping into my voice. "We have no dog here," he stated, and he began to push the door closed. Instinct took over. I jammed my foot in the door jamb, stopping it. "The dog in your backyard! Right there!" I was shouting now, pointing frantically towards the side of the house. On cue, Daisy started barking again, a desperate, frantic sound. The man looked in the direction of the barking, then back at me. His face twisted into a grimace of pure annoyance, as if I were a salesman bothering him during dinner. "Oh, that dog," he said, his tone utterly unconvincing, devoid of any recognition or concern. Then, without another word, he turned and disappeared into the dark interior of the house, leaving the door slightly ajar. I stood there, frozen, my mind reeling. What was happening? Why was he lying? My fear was now a full-blown terror. I wasn't going to wait. I ran back towards the fence, ready to climb over it, ready to tear that chain from the post with my bare hands if I had to. Just as I was looking for a handhold, I heard a sliding door open. The man had stepped out into the backyard from a patio door. Daisy, who had been barking for me, immediately fell silent and cowered, pressing herself against the far fence, as far away from him as the chain would allow. The sight of her fear of him made my blood run cold. He didn't look at me. He walked over to the post, unclipped the chain from her collar with a rough, jerky motion, and then walked to the side gate. He unlatched it and pushed it open. He said nothing. Daisy didn't need an invitation. The second she was free, she shot across the yard like a rocket and launched herself into my arms. I held her tight, feeling her little heart hammering against my chest. I looked up at the man, but he had already turned his back, walking into his house and sliding the door shut with a final, ominous thud. The last thing I saw was his scowling face through the glass. I ran all the way home, clutching Daisy so tightly I must have hurt her. I never let her go. When I told my parents, they were horrified. We called the police, but what could they do? We had our dog back. The man had technically let her go. But I knew. I knew in my soul what had happened. That man had no intention of calling the number on her tags. He had no intention of returning her. He found a beautiful, friendly dog and decided to keep her. Why? I'll never know. But the way Daisy cowered from him told me everything I needed to know about the kind of home she would have had. The strangest thing happened after that. Daisy never roamed again. If that gate was left open, we'd find her sitting patiently right outside it, waiting to be let back into her safe kingdom. She had learned her lesson. And so had I. I learned that the world isn't always the safe, simple place you think it is when you're 13. And sometimes the scariest stories don't happen in the dark woods. They happen 6 blocks from home, behind a wooden fence.
Don't want to lose this channel and always be up to date with new videos? Then make sure to subscribe. The story continues, and it's only getting more interesting.